Hey y'all, it's Miss Katie from Heritage Ways. I was sick almost 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. Oh, don't you hate it when you lose time of your life because of sickness? I want to tell you the 3 things that I took that turned the corner and I was better by the next day. Well, y'all, I got sick the day after Thanksgiving. Oh, I hadn't been sick in 2 or 3 years, except for the flu that I had last Christmas. But other than that, I hadn't had this respiratory stuff. Maybe all the traveling around, seeing different people. I do know I got sick when it had been cold and then it got warmer again. So you never know. There are germs everywhere. I want to tell you the 3 things that I did that resulted in the next day or two feeling almost totally well again. I will tell you that Mr. Patient also was sick, but not as long as I was. First, let me remind you, I'm not a doctor, a nurse, a medical professional, a natural health practitioner of any sort. So you really need to seek the advice of a person you trust, a qualified person, whether that is a medical professional, if that's what you like to refer to, or a natural health practitioner or a homeopathic professional, the health professional that you trust. This is just from one mama to you of what helped me. First of all, I'll tell you the symptoms real quick. I had, the respiratory, the congestion and the achiness and all that. Not a lot of nasal congestion or drainage, but a lot of chest congestion, headache, fatigue, that kind of thing. So now that you know the symptoms, I hope you don't have those symptoms, but if so, let me throw these 3 things out at you that might help. I do believe in a lot of other different types of natural remedies, which I did try and I used for the first 11, 12 days. I finally grabbed Chestol Honey Homeopathic Medicine Cough Syrup for cough and chest congestion by Boiron. I've talked to you about this before in other videos. They're not sponsoring me, but this stuff works. It's a good alternative to what we used to use back in the day. We used to use Robitussin. But we don't even have any over-the-counter stuff like that on board at all. Not for children or adults. I like this. I'm going to put a link down below. We are Amazon affiliates, and what that means is it's no extra cost to you. If you purchase through that link, we just get a few pennies if you make a purchase. So I'm going to put the link to this down below. It does work, in my opinion. The second thing, we went to a health food store to get some raw milk one night, and I saw this pH water, and I was reminded how that has helped us in the past. Your body needs a high alkaline level to be well. If you're sick, you've got to raise your alkaline level, and lots of things can do that. Apple cider vinegar, just plain apple cider vinegar, which I had been drinking in the previous days of my sickness. Now, this is not water in here, obviously. The reason I'm showing you this is so that you will remember that good, healthy, nourishing broth, bone broth, is also good. Good for the gut. Sickness begins in the gut. So actually, after I drank as much of this pH water as I could drink in a 2-day period, as much as I could hold, Mr. Patient drank it too. The pH water itself really helped. But then I saved the container, since we live on board an RV and I don't have extra containers. I saved this. I made some bone broth just in recent days after the sickness was over. From an organic chicken, and so that's what is in here. But so it's kind of a 2-in-1 to show you, remind you about your pH water and your bone broth. And the next thing, I think this is a 5-part video instead of a 3. Don't forget your healthy probiotic filled yogurt, and this is homemade yogurt that we made in the crock pot. We have a video about that. And this is what you came for. The recipe, fire cider. You might be sorry you came when you drank this. No, I'm just kidding. It helps, but it is some hot, serious stuff. Okay, I'm going to tell you how I made this. I'm not going to show you because I'm not making any more. I don't need to. I've got plenty, and I've got even more at Owen's house when we get there if I need it. All right. First of all, go to the grocery store with this list of items and try to get organic if you can. Garlic cloves, white onions, ginger root, horseradish, hot peppers, the hottest you can get, fresh turmeric root, And then pick you up some plastic gloves if you don't already have some. All right, take all those ingredients home. You're going to want pretty much the same amounts of each. So whether it's a half a cup or what have you. You can make this in varying amounts. I'm going to tell you how to make it in a gallon glass container. So you chop up, wash all those items real well. You do not have to peel the garlic, especially if it's organic. If you want to, you can. You're not going to be eating any of this, but I will give you a tip at the end in case you do want to eat the solids. Chop up all these items, equal parts of each. Put them in a gallon glass jar. Now, you need your jar to be more than half full, so 2/3 to 3/4 full of these solids. Then you're going to take good organic apple cider vinegar. I use Bragg's, but you can use a good organic apple cider vinegar with the mother. You're going to completely fill the jar with this apple cider vinegar. So you're going to cover your solids. You're going to cover the lid, cover the jar, shake it gently so you can get it all moving around there, and then put it in a cool, dark place. Not the refrigerator. I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend in your pantry if you have it back in there, or in a cabinet or something. But remember to shake it several times during that 14-day period that you're going to leave it there. A tip is you might want to put a piece of parchment or wax paper in between your lid if it's metal and your glass jar, so the metal and the vinegar don't react with one another. At the end of the 14 days, you're going to find some cheesecloth, or I just use this cotton type tea towel or bar towel. It's what I use for the purposes of doing things like this. And I will strain the solids from the liquid. Now, all you do after that is you just bottle the liquid in whatever container you want to keep it in. You're going to have a lot. And I chose to put it in this old Jack Daniel's whiskey bottle. It pours well. It's got the little thing. It doesn't gush out and it pours well. By the way, you can just sniff this stuff and it opens the sinuses. Ooh, sorry about the face, but that's what it does. That's what it does to you. Now, I don't want that to turn you off at all. Please, no, because this stuff is a powerhouse. Do you know what all these things are good for? These ingredients are antimicrobial, anti-infection, antibiotic, anti all the bad stuff. It's so good for you. All these ingredients are, especially if you're getting them raw. All right, and I made myself a pretty little label. Fire cider, it's also called Master Tonic, and my directions: 1/2 to 1 ounce, 2 or more times a day for illness or threat of illness. So if you know you're going to be around someplace, airport, airplane, just everyday life, public school or the office or on the metro in Washington, D.C. like we were, there are germs everywhere. So this is a preventative. Actually, in history, now I'm not claiming this does anything in particular because I'm not a medical professional, like I've said, but in history, people have been known to use this to cure chronic and acute illnesses. So acute is something that just comes on suddenly, like a cold. Chronic is something that's been around for a while. Maybe arthritis is an example of a chronic illness. Even cancer is an example of a chronic illness. So I'm not claiming it cures that, but I am claiming that I am saying that I have read reports of historical reports of people using this hundreds of years ago, this type of idea, years and years ago, to cure all sorts of diseases. So we need to think fire cider needs to be our friend, not our enemy. Even though he smells a little offensive, he needs to be our friend. I do want to say, if you are pregnant, please pay attention to any warnings. Please consult your midwife or your medical professional, because I think I have read that overuse of ginger could affect pregnancy. So please pay attention to your warnings from your midwife or your doctor. I've read and heard about people using the contents after they've been pureed in salad dressings or a spread with cheese or even on fish. It adds a lot of flavor to a lot of foods, as you can imagine. A little bit goes a long way. And speaking of that, this keeps indefinitely. So you can have this. I made this probably maybe even 2 years ago. And it will last a long time. Please consider checking out our link to the Chestall honey syrup for cough. But I don't even know if you need that if you are taking this like you should. Here's to your good health. Thanks for watching. And y'all have a great, great, healthy winter.